Hey everyone, it's Matt here. One of the things that I struggle with most during development is time to dev things. So, if I'm building and I have to build frequently or go to target, deploy all the time, these are things that constantly slow us down a little bit. And anytime that we can put in tooling to be able to help speed up our development process and make things in the editor, then that really helps us a lot with time and to kind of keep in our focus zone and our flow, so we don't have to break that. So one thing that I've been focusing on for my own development with Board is to have a board emulation in the editor so that I don't have to build to board nearly as often, and I can still test out all the flows that I would be testing on board, but I can do it in the editor. So I have my screen copy of Board up here. So this is Strata at the moment. So this is a great example of what I'm talking about. Adding players is something that I need to do in my game. My naval warfare game has a ready room where I need to set up several teams with several players, have people select their profiles, pick roles for each player, all that kind of stuff. And without something in the editor, I would have to build to board each time that I want to make a change and test it out that way. So as an example, when we add a player here and on board, it brings up the add player selection. This is an API call we can make for the OS. And we would add a player, maybe we would add a guest, and then we would keep going because we've got our game set up. So in the editor, I have the Board OS emulator, and today we're going to focus on the profiles in the session sections. So just like you saw there, we have profiles where we can click from when we're adding players, and we always have the account profile. So in the emulator, when you start out, you always have the one profile, and you can add a profile. You can name it whatever you want. I had one named Mike on there. Obviously, we don't necessarily care about what the color is and everything that we're dealing with there, but it is a capability that's on board, so I'm trying to get parity with that. And then we also have the session. This is how many players are in your game session and what the players are. So if I load up my game here, you'll see that in the background I have my Naval Warfare Ready room, and this is my team setup section. This is where I was talking about where I need to set up teams. Teams need to have players. Players need to be selected from board profiles. So the initial profile, of course, is Captain Noor, and we can see that I have my Captain Noor team or player there. If I go to switch profiles, it pulls up the switch profile window as it normally would on board, and I could switch to Mike, and I get my Mike profile switcher updated, and I get my Mike profile switch to my card. If I want to add a player, it pulls up the add player modal just like it would on the board, and I can add Captain Noor as an extra player. If I only have those two on my board, I can also go to manage profiles and add a new profile and save that, and we get it updated there and here, and I can go ahead and add that new test player. You can also do a two-way sync, so you can notice as I'm doing these things on board live in play mode, my mock data is getting updated. So here's the test player that I updated in the profiles, and in my session section, you can see that I have Mike as my active profile and the player 1, and then I have player 2 and player 3 tested here. I can change these now either both ways. I can do it in the OS modals while we're in play mode, or I can change the active profile from here. Say, cool, actually Captain Noor is who's active, and then that was replacing Mike, so we just got rid of Mike, and I can add a session player here, and it adds Mike as my section. I can change who that is if I had another profile, or I can change it to a guest, and you can see the two-way sync is happening, so this is all updating into my game data. So, and this is also persistent. So when you exit play mode, all your changes can be saved, and you could actually start up your game that exact same way next time. So when I close, I have my session saved and my profile saved. So when I go into play mode again, can see that I still have all those same things, and then I can still continue setting up my game. So yeah, this is one thing that I'm hoping to have for you guys available. Please let me know if you have any questions or feedback and you want to see some more features or anything. And I hope you guys are having a great time deving. Bye-bye.